First of all, I'm shocked. 10,000. 10,000 downloads of this podcast in less than 45 days. We launched on July 4th, 2016. The day I'm recording this is August 15th, 2016. That is, with my really quick math, 41-ish days to reach that point, and I'm blown away. I'm so happy that you've got some value out of this podcast. The reason why I'm doing it, and my biggest ask or hope, really, I can't ask you to take something away from this, but if you're learning something, if it's stimulating your mind around drones, then I'm doing my job. I'm spending my free time wisely here, and I really hope that this has just lived up to your expectations, because I really don't know what mine were. All I knew was that I wanted to make something that people would actually listen to. My greatest fear was that no one would listen. I've been proved wrong. Thank you so much for doing that. I love when that happens, but most of all for this. So 10,000 downloads. Here's to the next 10,000. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you to the guests. I could not have done it without any of you. And it's just a short little milestone in this long journey. So hasn't even been 2 months yet. So humbled, so happy. Let's kick it back over to the show. Welcome to CommercialDrones.fm, the podcast that explores the commercial drone industry, the people who power it, and the concepts that drive it. I'm your host, Ian Smith. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Ian here with Commercial Drones FM, and today we're talking about making maps with drones. It's something that we hear a lot about lately, and a subject that I've learned a ton about over the past 3+ years in the drone industry. So we'll go over why, what, and how. So why you should make maps with drones, what you should make them of, and how you should do it. How do you quantify your results? What's your ROI? And what should you use? But first things first, I just want to make one statement. I love making maps with drones. Starting off, why? Why should you make maps with drones? So the funny answer would be, well, because you can. But honestly, that's really the best answer. I mean, right now it's so cheap. It's so accessible. It's 2016. There's processes called photogrammetry which make this all possible. It's basically just taking a bunch of photos of an object or of an area and then having these computerized algorithms stitch them together. We call it stitching the photos together. It's not a very technical term, but it gets the point across, and it creates these results, these maps that you're looking for. But it wouldn't be so easy without the cloud. The cloud and the internet basically just makes all of this popular. So, or possible rather. So instead of just having your own computer, big clunky towered computer with thousands of dollars worth of hardware inside, tons of RAM and a huge CPU and GPU, learning how to use it and configuring it all, you can actually leverage the cloud is kind of what we say. And what that means is instead of processing all your data on that machine that you've just spent so much money on and time acquiring, you can actually just upload it like you would upload photos to Facebook, and let someone else who's invested a ton of money and time use their supercomputers, their servers that are all networked together, to combine into one network to process those images for you in a lot faster time than it would take and in a lot easier manner. And, this is just one of the ways that we're leveraging these flying robots in the drone industry, making maps with them. I would say nearly anyone, 95.027% of people can make drone maps and 3D models right now. Businesses are built on this theory, on this concept. Companies have invested millions of dollars into making sure it can happen. So as long as you can set up a drone and tap a screen on a smartphone, you can make an amazing aerial map and a 3D model better than what you would see on Google Maps. So there's some very compelling reasons there. Lots of, very inspirational ones, but there's business cases too. That brings us to the next section. What should you make maps of? Why should you be listening to me, and what should your subject be? It really depends. I mean, being able to make these maps with drones, it's like kind of like having a superpower. Being able to extend a ladder, go gadget legs, and kind of look down on the surroundings straight below you at a specific point in time in very, very high resolution. So, first of all, what do you do for a living? What's your main goal? Maybe you are a farmer or a grower. You have crops. You're trying to grow plants and vegetables and other kinds of, cash crops over huge distances that you used to have to cover by foot, but now you can send up a drone in your place to go ahead and check out and scope out the area. Maybe you're a construction worker, you need to monitor site progress. So instead of walking around on the ground and then having this mental image of the site's progression in your head, you can send up the drone and to create basically a snapshot in time of that entire site and then repeat that over and over. Maybe you're a mining company and safety is really important to you, and managing your assets and finding out how much cubic yards or cubic meters have been moved from one stockpile to a next, or an event planner even that does outdoor events that wants to create this high resolution map in color of the entire event as it was, showing exactly the color of the lighting that was placed all around the entire event for next year to really cut down on costs. And instead of having to manage a whole crew and tell them exactly where everything went, or use an old school piece of paper and a pencil to sketch it out to them, you can just show them this map, and then they know exactly where to place all the tables and the lighting and everything. What if you're a humanitarian worker and there's refugee camps that pop up out of nowhere? Favelas in places like Brazil. They don't really have addresses. So, being able to create these high resolution maps and knowing, okay, that's actually someone's house right there. What if you're a reporter and there's breaking news? Maybe there's another oil spill, or not a wildfire because you don't want to fly around there, but any kind of situation where an aerial view would really help tell the story. A scientist, an archaeologist documenting historical sites. There was a really cool story that I came across. Some guy was documenting these amazing patterns on the ground that were made by Native Americans, or very, very ancient kind of people that could actually still be seen from the sky today. But if you're on the ground, you'd never be able to see them. You could be a roofer, and extending those gadget legs is very helpful, or a solar developer, and you need to make sure that you don't have to go on the roof all the time so you don't break your neck. Or maybe even an insurance company, and you need to process claims faster and more efficient. The point is that anything you need an aerial perspective of, even in 3D, can be accomplished by using a drone to make a map. So, what should you make maps of? I mean, it really depends on what you need high resolution, same day aerial imagery of that can be interacted with, and you can extract value from that imagery in a variety of ways. The technology is ridiculous. So what results do you get? Once you do this, what are your results? So number one, it would be an orthomosaic. This is kind of like the 2D image. This is the Google Maps image that is produced by drone mapping. So what is an orthomosaic? Well, it's stitched together orthorectified imagery. And what that means, basically orthorectification is the process of removing the effects of image perspective, like tilt and terrain effects, for the purpose of creating a planimetrically correct image. So the resulting orthorectified image has a constant scale wherein the features are represented in their true positions. To illustrate this, imagine if you're on a plane, or actually maybe you're standing on the top of a tall building, and you take your camera out of your pocket and you point it straight down towards the ground and you take a picture. Straight below the very center of that camera, you're going to be able to see if there was an object, you would see straight down right on top of it, as if your eyes were just looking straight down, and you would just see, if there was another building, you'd just see like the top of the roof, and you wouldn't see any sides. But if you look on the kind of the edges of that picture, the outer rim of the picture, you're still going to capture some other buildings in that image that you took from the skyscraper, and you're actually going to see the sides, the walls of the building. The perspective is going to be tilted. You're not going to be able to see straight down. So what orthorectification does is take all these photos that have this perspective and then stitches them together with photogrammetry to create the orthorectified image, whereas the entire image is one perspective straight down. And that puts everything on the same scale, and it allows you to take action on that imagery. And some of the actions that you can take are doing calculations and things like volumetrics. What if you want to make a drone map and then measure how much volume a pile of dirt is on the construction site? Or how much water would I need to fill this giant hole? I'm just going to make a huge swimming pool. Sounds like fun. Measuring distances accurately, areas. So the area of, a kind of a polygon that you can draw on top of the map, or getting the profile of elevation, even the slope. So you can calculate slopes of roofs and the terrain, and even, GPS coordinates of points. But you can also get elevation models, kind of the lay of the land, a color-coded 2D map that allows you to see where the high and low points of a specific parcel of land are, and generating contour lines for surveyors and construction projects. 3D models of real estate. So if you want a super high resolution photorealistic model of a building, you can easily do that with a drone today. Agricultural plant health maps. So you can use specific sensors, or you can even just use the regular sensor that the drone comes with to start extracting value from that drone map as a grower or a farmer, and identifying areas where you might need to actually go investigate on foot. At the further level, these agricultural plant health maps can actually be used to generate like variable rate prescription maps for smart application of pesticides and fertilizers. So instead of just putting one full application, one uniform application across a whole field of fertilizer, you would want to, be able to do it in little sections, identifying the specific spots that need it more than others. And that's possible with drone maps. So the list goes on. It all comes down, what will you do with this power, this superpower that you all of a sudden have? The next section is, how do you do it? What do you need in order to accomplish this? Well, all you need is a drone and a smartphone. So right now, I just checked on Amazon US, for $450, you can start making maps today. And you can have it at your doorstep in 2 days, everything that you need if you don't already have it. A better budget would be $1,000, but it really just depends on what you need. And you can go all the way up to 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 grand, 15 grand, whatever. But I'm a huge proponent for, the kind of value that you get from these lower cost drones. So for the $450 ultra uber conservative package, you would get a DJI Phantom 3 standard for about $400 and then use a smartphone. And you could probably pick one of those up for $50. So all of a sudden you got everything you need. You probably got one battery, and there you go. You've got the drone and you've got the smartphone, or smartphone you already have, and you can do this for under $500 and start making maps even for free. So the next thing that you need to know is that the reason why I recommend a DJI drone is because, number one, they're very affordable, they're very reliable, and they come with great sensors, great cameras on those drones. Since we're using this process called photogrammetry to create all these results, we need to have a good camera to take those photos, to create those images, so that we can process them with the photogrammetric algorithms into all of those different outputs that I mentioned, the orthomosaics, the elevation models, and 3D models. Quadcopters that DJI makes are so much easier than fixed wing drones, than straight regular airplanes. Another thing that DJI does well is these days they don't use any fisheye lenses on their cameras. So when I say fisheye, picture a GoPro, and whenever you see an aerial photo or just pretty much any photo from a GoPro, you'll see that the horizon, and sometimes it's kind of warped. This is not good for photogrammetry because the algorithm has to correct that. So it's like an extra layer of pre-processing that happens before the imagery is fully processed. And it just introduces a lot of artifacting into the final result that you don't want. So huge recommendation for DJI drones from me. I have seen insane results from them, and I've seen Fortune 500, so many Fortune 500 companies use these affordable DJI drones. And you can spend, as much or as little as you want on those. The next thing, of course, that you'll need, kind of mentioned earlier, is a smartphone or a tablet. So you can use an Android phone or an iPad or an iOS or an iPhone itself, and just download an app. That's literally what it comes down to. So now you're just connecting your smartphone or your tablet to the DJI drone's transmitter, and then you download the app, start it up, and you press go. And that's pretty much it. Some of the apps that I'm going to tell you about now and how to accomplish that, I just need to give a little bit of disclosure. I do work for a company called Drone Deploy, which is a cloud-based drone mapping company. And they are not paying me to do this. This is, again, on my own free will, my own budget, my own accord. So I'm a little bit biased here because I know the inner workings and I know what's going on behind the scenes, but I'm going to do my best to just be as unbiased as possible. So you can use an app like Drone Deploy to download for free and start mapping for free with your drone. So if you have the above equipment, the drone and the DJI drone, which has the software development kit that all of the companies that I will list following Drone Deploy work with, then you can download their apps and start flying your drone with them. So with Drone Deploy, for instance, you can start for free and then you can start making maps immediately. One of the reasons why I'd recommend them, lots of acres mapped, over 5 million acres mapped by tens of thousands of Drone Deploy users across more than 130 countries. So lots and lots of experience there. Really solid, unique feature set for a variety of industries. And plus, I work there, so I can give a pretty good, hearty recommendation for that. Another one that you might want to check out, and that a lot of existing drone mappers really, really stand behind, is a company called Maps Made Easy. They also sell drones through a company called Drones Made Easy. They have an app as well. They do cloud processing as well as Drone Deploy. So you just upload all your photos when you're done with your drone flight into their servers, and they're processed for you automatically. They're a really solid option. People really like them. They have a little bit of a different pay structure than Drone Deploy that some people find attractive. It's kind of like a pay-as-you-go model, whereas with Drone Deploy, it's more of a subscription-based model. The third piece of software that I'll kind of recommend here is Pix4D. I mean, they're kind of like the industry standard. They might have started this whole photogrammetry craze or really spread it quite fast across the world. They're a Swiss company. They do require that really beefy computer in order to process all your imagery. So you need a very powerful computer, but the advantage there is that you have a ton of control over your final results. You can change all the settings. You can do so much things with Pix4D that you can't really do with a lot of these cloud-based pieces of software, but the cloud software really is catching up very fast. So it's kind of, it really depends. Like if you're already in GIS, if you're in the geographic information systems industry, or you're a surveyor and you have access to a really powerful workstation computer, give the Pix4D demo a shot. You'll probably like it a lot if you really like to kind of tinker around with all the settings and learn a lot of stuff. Then there's some other more unproven options out there, like Skycatch and a company called Datamapper. So that's really it. That's really all you need to do in order to create maps with drones. It's very, very easy. Don't be intimidated by it. You just need to know to follow all the local and federal regulations. I can't stress that enough. Always fly safe. But definitely let me know if you have any questions. I kind of glossed over a variety of topics in this podcast, but I want to go deeper in specific ones like agriculture and construction and really kind of dive deep to extract the value that others are getting from it to display to you. And if you want to be notified when I do that, it would be great if you subscribe to the podcast. Shoot us a rating while you're at it on iTunes or Google Play. You can go ahead and leave a review as well, and follow us on Twitter @DronesPodcast and Facebook.com/DronesPodcast. So stay tuned. Thanks for listening. Y'all are the best. Cheers.